Okay, let's talk about flipping it all upside down so that we can approach the bottom. And let's visualize this. Make a third setup, and then take your work coordinate system and scoot it over to the back top left corner, just like before. And notice how the Z points up, just like the Z of your entire world. Good. Now orbit the world so that both Z's are pointing down. This is easy in Fusion, but in real life we can't flip the CNC mill upside down like this, so let's solve this problem. Let's get Fusion into this configuration such that we're still looking at the front of our cube. We're just looking at it upside down, just like here in Fusion with the upside down word front visible. Good. Now check out this line under your work coordinate system that says orientation. It's currently set to model orientation, and our model is currently upside down. So click on that and change it to Z-axis / plane and X-axis. This lets us pick our own orientation. When you pick it, the options underneath that line will change, now allowing you to select your own Z-axis. So click the word select, and then go to your model and find one of the edges that runs up and down along the Z-axis and select it. When you do, the word select will turn into edge, showing that you've selected an edge for your Z-axis. And having selected it, you can now logically flip it. And then the same for your X-axis. Find an edge on your cube that runs across the front of your model and select that as your X-axis. And then, if you must, flip it. Well, how do you answer if you must? Well, look at the arrow and how it points at the letter X. This should be pointing to the right when you're looking at the front of your model, because positive X always goes to the right. If it's pointing the other way, flip it. Okay, turning your work coordinates upside down for the very first time can be conceptually confusing, so let's recap. Imagine that you're standing at the mill. You're looking at the word front on your cube, but the word front is now upside down because you flipped it upside down to work on the bottom. But you couldn't flip the mill upside down, so you're trying to confirm that your work coordinates represent this reality. Start up here and just ask, am I upside down and am I looking at the front? And the answer here visually is yes. Then look over here at your work coordinates and ask, did I solve the problem that I cannot flip the physical mill upside down? Is my Z-axis pointing up even though the whole world has the Z-axis pointing down? Is my X-axis pointing to the right, even though the world X is pointing to the left? If those two things are correct, your Y-axis is going to be pointing in the right direction by default. That's why this method of setting up your orientation only requires an X and a Z choice. Whew. Choosing the orientation is complicated, so keep your real aluminum cube nearby with your handwritten letters scrawled across it so that you can glance at it from time to time. It really helps keep you from getting lost in the abstract world of Fusion. And to make this final step easier to follow, take your physical cube, find your nice clean machined surface and put a dot in the center of it, and then flip it over. And imagine that dot down there. That's going to be the origin of your work coordinate system. We're not going to use the top back left anymore. We're going to use the bottom center. And to put your origin at the bottom center is as simple as clicking the box point for your work coordinate system and clicking on the point that's hanging out down there at the bottom center. Great. Now let's make this whole setup even easier to visualize. Click on your stock tab and make sure that your stock mode is set to from preceding setup. And then check this box right here, continue rest machining. Rest means remaining stock, and it just means show me the stock that I already cut away in the setup prior to this one. Good, now you should be looking at stock that looks a heck of a lot like what you cut one step back, but flipped upside down. Next up, we're gonna build the cam to actually find, and then find again with precision, and then cut the rest of this cube.